Remember the Academy Awards? I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the best picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing.
Nearly 2/3 of Americans say they want to see a rematch after the TKO he suffered 2 weeks ago.
Coming up, we've got the juiciest bits from the ultimate Trump roast. Maher's got zingers, Kimmel's got burns, and Colbert's bringing the heat. Plus, we'll break down Trump's courtroom shenanigans that sparked this comedy fire. Stick around to find out which host landed the most devastating punchline and why Trump might need a Trump shock collar to stay awake in court. It's gonna be huge. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. By all accounts, it would appear that our favorite orange turd is having a hard time staying awake during his own trial, people. Do you not find it unbelievable? As a result of the sugar crash, Trump continues to fall asleep like a toddler, and his attorneys are sweating uncontrollably under the pressure. A sleepover in the courtroom would be a great idea. It is easy to comprehend why the judge is starting to feel aggravated presently. As a matter of fact, it is not very common to see a former president getting drunk when his future is in jeopardy. Perhaps Trump is under the impression that he can get out of this mess by dreaming. Jimmy Kimmel was unable to refrain from making fun of Trump's courtroom naps. It was impossible for him as well. I'm willing to wager that Trump is currently dreaming about Big Macs and Diet Cokes, he joked with reporters. The level of tranquility is probably the highest he's seen in years. Kimmel went so far as to imply that in order for Trump to maintain consciousness, he might just need to wear a shock collar. How awful! I can't imagine that his spray tan would be as painful as that. Bill Maher, who is never one to pass up an opportunity to make fun of Trump, has added his own theory. His questioning centered on whether or not the "I was asleep" defense was something that Trump was attempting to use or not. I am unable to have committed those offenses, Your Honor. Because I was so enamored with my tie, I was too preoccupied to move. Congratulations, Donnie Diapers, but I question whether or not that will be upheld in court.
Because for a guy who is so obviously afraid of Kamala Harris, he can't stop yammering about how much smarter Joe Biden is.
And then I think he said something like, ha ha ha, he thinks he bothers me, or some crap like that. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the best picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing.
It should come as no surprise that Trump's team is working to repair the damage as quickly as they can while simultaneously saying witch hunt. To put it simply, they say that he is deep in thought. Absolutely, that is the case. It is not true that Trump has ever been deep in anything other than a bucket of KFC. The expression deep in thought seems to be more pleasant to use than the phrase dreaming about his next tea time. There is, however, more to come. It appears that Trump is not simply dozing off. In addition to that, he is audibly making some intriguing noises. Not only that, but I'm not talking about his typical nonsense either. During the course of the trial, it has been reported that Grumpy Trumpy has been making some noises that are not presidential. Is it possible that he is making an effort to conceal the sound of his snoring? People, please do not move from your seats. In addition to his legal defense, it would appear that Donnie Diapers has unveiled a novel method for contaminating the courtroom. According to rumors that are spreading faster than a toilet flush, our favorite orange turd has been letting out some silent but lethal farts during his trial. These farts have been heard by a number of authorities. Quite the gas-tastrophe, in fact, and it would be reasonable to assume that Trump's legal team would be relieved that he is no longer snoring. But the reality is that they are struggling to keep their cool for a completely different reason. If you try to defend your client's innocence while fighting back tears caused by the odor, can you imagine something like that happening? They appear to be guarding a whoopee cushion that is available for walking. At a time when Stephen Colbert is always quick with a joke, he stated that Trump is giving the phrase passing gas laws a new meaning. It is my understanding that when you are unable to enact laws, you are forced to make do with what you have. It's possible that President Trump is drawing attention to the word air in an effort to draft his own version of the Clean Air Act.
She's not as smart as him. He's not smart. He never was smart. He wasn't smart 40 years ago. Always He was a hale and hearty guy, well met. Did you ever hear Shakespeare? Remember the Academy Awards? I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards, and this stupid guy goes up.
Trump says it's too late for another debate now, which is ridiculous, but also interesting.
Jimmy Kimmel, who is known for his unflinching candor, posited that the gaseous disruptions that Trump has been causing in the courtroom could be the result of his diet consisting of fast food and Diet Coke. Let me tell you something, Jimmy. I think you might have a point there. If you only use grease and artificial sweeteners to fuel your body, you can't possibly expect to avoid some explosive consequences. After all, you can't expect to avoid consequences. You need not be concerned, people. The legal team representing Trump is currently handling the case. According to them, the noises are nothing more than the sound of justice. His flatulence has been the subject of rumors, but they have responded by denying the allegations. Is that the new name for it, by any chance? I suppose that there are times when justice really does smell bad, and this is especially true when Trump is involved. With a zinger in his arsenal at all times, Bill Maher made a joke about how President Trump has finally succeeded in clearing the courtroom. Who needs complicated legal jargon when you can accomplish the task of clearing the room with your very own one-of-a-kind form of chemical warfare?
Able to remember that Barbie herself was laughing at him. I'd be happy to send you any or all of those items. Just let me know. They're my gift. And also, for the record, my manager wasn't trying to talk me out of responding. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say they want to see a rematch after the TKO he suffered 2 weeks ago.
I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife.
Not even close to being a free pass out of jail. It's more like a nose pinching. When you think about it, it's almost poetic justice. It is finally coming back to haunt Trump, or perhaps more accurately, it is gasping him, because the hot air that Trump has been spewing for years is finally coming back again. Who could have predicted that biological warfare would turn out to be his most effective method of offensive defense? I am sorry to say that it does not appear that the Trump comedy train will be slowing down anytime soon. The antics that Donnie Diapers is putting on in court are providing our late-night friends with a lot of entertainment. According to Jimmy Kimmel, who has been giving out the zingers, it is almost certain that Donald Trump would take pleasure in being incarcerated. Am I able to do that? A jumpsuit in orange to complement the complexion of that turd that is orange in color. But it is not limited to joking around and laughing. Through their comedic performances, these comedians are shedding light on a number of very substantial issues. As Kimmel joked about Trump having nuclear codes, but not being able to carry heat, he was absolutely correct in his assessment of the situation. The situation is humorous, but it is also a little frightening, like giving a young child the keys to a tank. In light of the fact that Grumpy Trumpy's legal problems continue to accumulate, we are going to be laughing all the way to the polling place. What is the point of having Netflix when you have this circus?